Now stand for the national anthem, national song, and the school song. Just a reminder that this is being live streamed. And you may sit. We say thank you to our steel orchestra, sort of, and our choir. Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Communications, Utilities, Housing, Information Technology, and E-Government, Mr. Jose Vanterpool, distinguished judges, staff, especially those of the business department and English department, Mr. White, head of the Debating Society at the ALHCS, Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School students, as well as the students from the Anguilla Community College. Good morning again, and welcome to the great debate. This is Business Week, and we've had two activities before, where we had Dress Up Business Day, where the students wore business suits. Last night we had the bib, and today we are having the great debate. On Friday, we are having the expo. It is customary for students in option 3 to have debates among themselves for the 2 years that they are with their teacher. It's been quite a while where all the students from that class have been itching to debate the students in option 5, the other teacher's class. So the option 5 teacher was approached and she agreed. So this morning, the debate is between the students from option 3 and the students from option 5. Please note that the teachers did not get involved in the preparation of the debate. This hopefully should be the students' work. So I will now call the students. For the proposition, and you may cheer. Speaker 1, Timaya Brooks. And Speaker 2, Chardonnay Anderson. For the opposition, Speaker 1, Jamoy Hodge. And Speaker 2, Keshanice Edwards. I will now introduce you to our judges. Starting on this side, we have Mr. Stanley Reed. He's the principal in his legal and consultancy practice, SER Legal and Consultancy Services. He assumed this role in July 2016. In this capacity, Mr. Reed responds to the needs of clients in the roles of solicitor, barrister, notary public, mediator, and consultant. Prior to 2016, Mr. Reed served in many positions in the Anguilla Public Service during a tenure spanning 3 decades. These positions include Assistant Customs Officer, Uncertified Teacher, he taught me, Crown Counsel, Senior Crown Counsel, Permanent Secretary, and Deputy Governor. As Deputy Governor, Mr. Reed was responsible for managing the Anguilla Public Service. He also acted as Magistrate, Attorney General, and Governor of Anguilla. In 2013, Mr. Reed was accorded the title of Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, OBE. Mr. Reed continues to take an active interest in governmental and public service matters. He contributes to individual, national, and regional development through his appointments to local and regional bodies, including the University of the West Indies Global Campus Council. He's also the lecturer for the law students at the Anguilla Community College. Please, let's welcome Mr. Reed. Our next judge is our Honorable Minister, Mr. Jose Vanterpool. Is a past student of the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School and National Island Scholar. He is trained in parliamentary practice and international good governance, holds a Master's of Engineering degree in Computer Science, and is currently pursuing his doctorate of business administration degree at the University of the West Indies. He has been a member of the House of Assembly since 2019 and currently serves as the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Communications, Utilities, Housing, Information Technology, and E-Government Services for the Government of Anguilla. Mr. Vanterbilt. Ms. Amber Woodley. Ms. Woodley holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics and has taught CSEC and Cape Economics at the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School for 10 years, and she's still teaching. Ms. Woodley. And I taught her. Mr. Naim Brooks, we call him Yanks, is a journalist at Radio Anguilla who is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in political science with a minor in economics at the University of the West Indies Global Campus. He applies research-driven analysis to issues of governance, community development, and national accountability. And I taught him as well. Mr. Naim Brooks. Mr. Fabian Marcel Foy, known mostly as Mr. Marcel Foy, is a retired civil servant. He served 19 years as a permanent secretary. He holds a master's in economics. And with regard to the arts, he likes poetry, acting, and drumming. His other passion, of course, is debating, and he served as a debate coach of the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School Leeward Islands debating competition teams for 30 years, from 1986 to 2016. Mr. Foy. I will now go into the rules. The first speaker on each side has 10 minutes. The second speaker on each side has 7 minutes. Our timekeeper, 1 minute before your time is up, will signal, and you're only allowed to go 30 seconds over. At that point, she's going to announce absolute time, and you must stop. The judges are criteria. They're looking at organizational clarity, use of arguments, use of examples and facts, presentation style. 4 points each. After you make your presentation, there's going to be a 5-minute period where all of us are going to be absolutely quiet, because that is where they'll be preparing their rebuttal. After the 5 minutes are up, the opposition will present their rebuttal first, and then the proposition will present their rebuttal after. For the rebuttal, our judges are just looking at use of rebuttal, meaning the arguments made by the other teams are responded to and dealt with effectively, and of course, presentation style. Our prizes for today, we are looking for best speaker, and that person is going to win a voucher at Millhouse Cafe. We're looking for best rebuttal. That person will win a voucher at English Rose for a chicken meal. And the winner gets lunch at Skillicky, valued at $200 US. Today's topic, and please listen carefully. Suppose the economy of a first world nation is in a recession, and the government of the day brings to Parliament a bill to ban all imports. The bill, if passed into law, would allegedly ensure that all dollars currently leaving the spending stream for imports would instead be spent on domestic products, thereby increasing output, employment, and income, hence reversing the economy. How would you vote for this bill if you're a member of Parliament? Use economic theories and concepts to justify your vote. Are we ready? Judges are ready. Teams, are you ready? Perfect. So we ask, therefore, to be silenced. You can clap when it's time to clap, of course.
How much time for the rebuttal?
Oh, sorry, the rebuttal is 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Yes. And the same thing applies? You're right, 30 seconds over only. Thank you. So, you may applaud at this point. We are hearing from the proposition, Speaker number 1, Temaya Brooks.
Bo Bennett once said, "As sure as spring will follow the winter, prosperity and economic growth will follow recession." Students, teachers, my most worthy opponents, audience, and honest judges, a very pleasant good morning. I, as the first speaker proposition, and my colleague over here, stand firm in the belief of supporting the approval of the bill to ban all imports during a recession. To define the key terms of the moot, a first world nation is a developed, industrialized, and democratic nation with a high standard of living. A recession is a period during which the total output in the economy declines. A bill is a draft of a proposed law which presented to Parliament for discussion. Import means to bring a good or service into a country from abroad for sale, and domestic refers to the economic activities and transactions that occur within a country's geographical border. Point number 1. By implementing the approval of the bill, this helps move the economy from a recessionary gap to full employment. A recession occurs when an economy is operating below its potential output, creating what economists call a negative output gap. This means that factories, machinery, and labor are all underutilized, not because the country lacks productive capacity, but because aggregate demand is too weak to support full production. As a result, cyclical unemployment rises and national income declines. A temporary ban on imports directly addresses this by increasing aggregate demand through import substitution. When imports are restricted, households and firms must purchase domestically produced goods and services instead of foreign ones. This shift redirects spending into the local economy by domestic consumption, domestic investment, and overall aggregate demand. As aggregate demand increases, firms respond to higher demand by expanding output, hiring additional workers, and utilizing idle capital. This process helps close the recessionary gap by moving the economy back toward its full employment level of output, the point at which all available labor and capital are all engaged in production. This mechanism is supported by the Keynesian demand-side theory, which argues that during a recession, economies are constrained by insufficient spending, not insufficient capacity. Therefore, increasing domestic demand through an import ban becomes an effective tool for stimulating production, reducing cyclical unemployment, and restoring the economy to its full employment equilibrium. In short, Madam Moderator, by redirecting national spending away from foreign goods and towards local industries, the country activates idle resources, boosts job creation, and accelerates the recovery process, making a temporary import ban an economically justified strategy for closing the output gap. Point number 2. Self-sufficient nations are more economically resilient. Madam Moderator, while opposition might try to preach about staying dependent on imports, it's almost like they enjoy watching our economy catch a cold every time the global market sneezes. Maybe they're comfortable outsourcing our future, but some of us actually want a country that can stand on its own 2 feet. A nation that is self-sufficient is far more economically resilient because it is better able to withstand external shocks, global disruptions, and volatility in international markets. Australia provides a powerful case study of how domestic capacity strengthens economic stability. Over the last several decades, Australia has invested heavily in building robust local industries, particularly in agriculture, mining, and energy, allowing it to supply a significant share of its own essential goods. During global crises such as COVID-19 pandemic, when international supply chains collapsed and shipping delays became the norm, Australia's strong agriculture sector ensured stable access to domestic food supplies. While many countries face empty shelves and food insecurity, Australia's self-resilience in wheat, beef, dairy, and fresh produce cushioned the impact. The same resilience appeared in its energy sector. Because Australia produces a substantial portion of its own energy resources, it was far less vulnerable to the global fuel shortages and price spikes that destabilize other economies. This demonstrates a critical economic reality. Nations with diversified and locally anchored production bases are better insulated from global inflation, currency pressure, and supply chain volatility. In the context of a recession, fostering self-sufficiency becomes even more important. A temporary import ban can accelerate domestic production, strengthen internal supply chains, and reduce dependence on unreliable external markets. By nurturing local industries during a downturn, the country not only stabilizes itself in the short run, but also builds long-term structural resilience. Australia proves that the more a nation can produce for itself, the more capable it is of weathering future economic storms without being at the mercy of global uncertainty. And lastly, point number 3. By implementing the bill, it serves as a temporary protection during a temporary downturn. Madam Moderator, are we forgetting the most obvious point? This is a recession. It is not set in stone, and it will surely end. A temporary ban is a practical form of counter-cyclical protectionism designed to support the domestic economy only during periods of downturn. Recessions are short-run cyclical fluctuations in the business cycle, not permanent structural failures. Because the downturn is temporary, a short protective measure can stabilize vulnerable domestic firms without creating long-term inefficiencies or trade distortions. By reducing import competition during the recession, local producers receive the breathing room they need to maintain output, preserve jobs, and prevent business closures. Once the economy returns to its long-run equilibrium and aggregate demand strengthens, the import ban can be simply lifted, restoring normal trade flows. Many countries have used similar strategies. For example, during the 2008 global recession, South Korea and Brazil implemented temporary tariffs and import controls to protect key industries, then roll them back once recovery began. Likewise, the United States have historically used short-term agriculture import restrictions to shield local farmers from global price shocks during downturns, removing them once conditions improved. These examples show that temporary target protectionism is not radical. It is a legitimate stabilization tool used worldwide to prevent recessionary damage and support a faster return to full employment. If my most intelligent opponents think we should just ride out the recession without protecting our own industries, that's cute. But some of us prefer policies that actually keep businesses alive, not wishful thinking and crossed fingers. Temporary problems need temporary solutions, unless, of course, their plan is to just permanently import everything and locally produce nothing. In conclusion, me and my colleague fully believe in supporting the implementation of the bill because domestic consumption and production have... Oh.
We thank Temaya. She spoke for a total of 10 minutes and 30 seconds. We will now hear from the speaker one from the opposition side, Mr. Jamoy Hodge.
Oh, it's not the judges. He who shuts his eyes to the cry of others will also cry out and not be heard. Proverbs 21:13. Moderator, a nation that shuts its ports to others in their time of need should not expect open markets when its people need them the most. Moderator, honorable judges, my most worthy opponents, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I rise in firm opposition to the bill which seeks to ban all imports in a first world nation currently in recession. This bill, if passed, would allegedly ensure that all dollars currently leaving the spending stream for imports would instead be spent on domestic products, thereby increasing output, employment, and income, supposedly reversing the economy. However, moderator, this is a gross oversimplification of economic reality. This morning, my colleague and I will prove that while the intention of this bill may be noble, its consequences would be disastrous. I will highlight 4 critical highlights of this bill. 1, it disrupts comparative advantage. 2, it invites retaliation and trade wars. 3, it creates shortages and inflation. And 4, it reduces productivity and innovation. My capable colleague will then propose reasonable economic alternatives that can combat the recession without destroying the nation's economic foundation. Before proceeding, moderator, permit me to define the key terms of the moot. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines first world, and I quote, the highly developed industrialized nations often considered the westernized countries of the world, unquote. The same source defines imports as, and I quote, to bring from a foreign or external source, unquote. To ban means, and I quote, to prohibit especially by legal means, unquote. And recession is defined as, quote, a period of significantly reduced general economic activity that is marked especially by declines in employment and production that last more than a few months, unquote. Having now clarified the key terms, let us turn to why this bill would devastate rather than rescue a modern economy. Moderator, one of the cornerstones of modern economics is the principle of comparative advantage. That countries should specialize in producing goods and services they can produce most efficiently, while trading for what others produce more efficiently. By banning imports, this bill dismantles the very system that allows countries to benefit from trade. It will force domestic producers to make goods they are neither efficient at nor equipped to produce, at higher costs and lower quality. Moderator, trade bans and tariffs do not just restrict exchange. They actively undermine efficiency. As Princeton economics Pablo Faglabom and his colleagues found in their 2021 study, The Economics of the U.S.-China Trade War, these measures reduce both Chinese and U.S. welfare, with the cost vastly outweighing any fiscal benefit. In other words, protectionist trade policies raise costs and erode productivity, proving that isolation in trade leads to economic inefficiency, not stability. Moderator, even first world countries rely heavily on imports for raw materials, technology components, and intermediate goods that are crucial for production. Cutting off imports means disrupting production chains, driving up costs, and slowing down manufacturing. Rather than increasing output and income, the bill would achieve the exact opposite. A contraction in production, a spike in unemployment, and a fall in real income. David A. Moss, a professor at Harvard Business School, stated in an article entitled, An Economic Principle for Us All, Comparative Advantage, and I quote, a nation that neglects comparative advantage may pay a heavy price in the terms of living standards and growth. Moderator, in economics, actions have reactions. A complete import ban would not exist in a vacuum. It would provoke retaliation. Other nations would inevitably respond with their own restrictions, closing off their markets to the first world countries' exports. What begins as an attempt to save domestic industries could quickly spiral into an all-out trade war, crippling global cooperation and destroying vital export markets. The International Monetary Fund has long warned that trade protectionism can trigger a downward spiral in global trade. This result is not prosperity. It is prolonged economic pain. Moderator, how could a nation hope to revive itself in a recession by cutting off both its supply chains and its markets? This bill would leave the country isolated, its industries idle, and its diplomatic relations strained. Moderator, perhaps the most immediate consequence of banning imports is shortages. With imports stopped, the availability of essential goods, food, fuel, medicine, and technology will decline sharply. The domestic market simply cannot produce everything a modern society requires. Moderator, perhaps the most immediate consequence of banning imports is the risk of severe shortages. We can hardly see a clear example in Venezuela, where the government has imposed highly restrictive import licensing regimes. Importers there must obtain certificates even to bring in basic food commodities, sometimes from more than one ministry, before being allowed to import. These bureaucratic barriers don't just limit trade. They directly reduce the availability of essential products, leading to stockouts, inflation, and human suffering. If a first world country bans all imports, it will face shortages on a much larger scale because its economic simply does not produce everything domestically. When supply falls but demand remains, prices rise. Thus, inflation takes root. Instead of reversing a recession, a bill would unleash stagflation, that is, stagnation combined with inflation, a nightmare scenario for any government. Moderator, banning imports does not make citizens richer. It makes their money weaker. Consumers would have to pay more for fewer goods, eroding purchasing power and worsening living standards. Finally, moderator, banning imports cuts off access to foreign competition, ideas, and technologies, the very lifeblood of innovation. Competition from imports pushes domestic firms to innovate, improve efficiency, and maintain global standards. Without that external pressure, domestic firms become complacent, shielded, and unproductive. Moderator, trade bans and tariffs do not just restrict exchange. They actively undermine efficiency and innovation. In fact, empirical research supports that open trade spurs innovation. A study and review of economics and statistics found that when tariffs were cut, firms in 65 countries significantly increased their innovation activity, as measured by patients, because they gain access to broader markets and face tougher competition. This demonstrates that trade openness is not a threat to domestic firms, but a catalyst for growth. It forces them to get better, to invest in research, and become more productive. Additionally, many of the components used in research, manufacturing, and advanced technology in first world countries are imported. Cutting these off will strangle innovation in its cradle. A nation in recession be seeking to increase productivity, not isolate itself from the very networks that stimulate growth and creativity. Moderator, the government claims that banning imports will redirect spending towards domestic goods and thereby revive the economy. But economic recovery is not a matter of simply redirecting spending. It is about sustaining productive capacity, efficiency, and trade relations. By banning imports, the government will destroy comparative advantage, provoke trade wars, and trigger shortages and inflation, and stifle innovation. History has shown us that isolation may be walls, but never prosperity. Thus, moderator, in the interest of economic stability, international cooperation, and long-term prosperity, I stand firmly in opposition to this bill. I thank you.
Thank you, Jamoy. Jamoy spoke for a total of 8 minutes and 53 seconds. We'll give the judges some time to tally. Remember, it's sections 1, 2, 3, and 5 now. Okay. Just waiting on one other judge, and he's done. Thank you. We now invite to the podium the second speaker for the proposition, Chardonnay Anderson.
Madam Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, fellow classmates, guests, worthy opponents, honorable judges, a good day to you. As the second speaker for the proposition, I strongly support the government's bill to ban all imports temporarily during a recession in a first world nation. My role today is to strengthen the case presented by my first speaker, expand on economic justifications, and demonstrate why this bill is not only practical but necessary to restore economic stability, employment, and national confidence. A recession is a period of falling output, rising unemployment, and reduced consumer spending. In a first world nation where the economy is driven by high levels of consumption, sophisticated industries, and a large services sector, any collapse in spending can push businesses into decline. One of the major leakages in the circular flow of income is import spending, which removes money from the domestic economy. When citizens buy imported clothing, electronics, food, or cars, the money flows to foreign producers instead of local businesses. By introducing a temporary ban, the government is intentionally closing this leakage. This means that the money which would have left the economy is now forced to circulate internally. According to the multiplier effect, any increase in domestic spending leads to greater increase in national income. For example, if households shift their demand into imported foods to locally produced agricultural goods, farmers earn more. They in turn hire more workers, purchase more equipment, and spend more in their communities. This sets off a chain reaction, resulting in overall expansion of output. First world nations have advantage to well-developed manufacturing and technological sectors. These industries may currently suffer from excess capacity, meaning factories and workers are underutilized. When imports are restricted, domestic firms receive a surge in demand. This encourages them to increase production, reduce unemployment, and stimulate economic growth. It also revives consumer confidence. Since people see more jobs being created and more money circulating, furthermore, an import ban encourages import substitution, where domestic industries begin producing goods that were once purchased from abroad. Many first world countries already possess the knowledge, technology, and capital required to produce high-quality goods locally. This boosts innovation, protects strategic industries, and makes the nation less dependent on external markets during an economic shock. For example, instead of importing foreign electronics, a first world country with advanced technology sectors could expand domestic production, providing high-skilled jobs and encouraging investment. Opponents may argue that banning imports limits consumer choice or leads to higher prices. However, during a recession, the priority is economic recovery and employment, not luxury or convenience. Higher prices in short run are a reasonable trade-off for long-term stability. Moreover, once domestic production increases, competition among local firms can help stabilize prices, improve product quality. This is a strategic sacrifice with long-term national benefits. Another argument the opposition may raise is that trading partners could retaliate. But first world nations typically have strong bargaining power in global markets due to their size, technological capability, and financial influence. A temporary ban is unlikely to permanently damage international relations. Other advanced economies also carry out similar protective measures during this crisis, such as increasing tariffs, placing quotas, or giving subsidies to domestic firms. What we are proposing is simply a direct and more effective version of the same idea. Let us also consider the circular flow of income, which shows how households, firms, and government interact. During a recession, Injections such as government spending and investments are not always enough to offset leakages like savings and imports. By removing imports as a leakage, the government immediately strengthens domestic revenue. This improves tax collections, allowing the government to better fund social programs, infrastructure, and welfare benefits during hard times. In addition, protecting domestic industries prevents long-term structural damage. When firms close during a recession, it is often permanent. Workers lose skills, communities lose income, and the economy loses its productive capacity. A temporary import ban shields vulnerable industries, giving them breathing room needed to remain operation until economy stabilizes. Finally, supporting this bill sends a powerful message that the government of this first world nation prioritizes national resilience over foreign dependence. It demonstrates a commitment to rebuilding local industries, empowering workers, and strengthening the national income from within. As Robert Reich once said, if you're in a recession, a sharp recession is not a time to be focusing on foreign trade. It is to focus on domestic demand. For all these reasons, supporting this multiplier effect reduces leakages, stimulating domestic production, protecting jobs, promoting import substitution, and restoring confidence. I firmly support this bill. As a member of parliament, I would vote yes, because this policy provides the strongest and most immediate path to reversing the recession and securing the country's economic future. I thank you.
Chardonnay spoke for a total of 6 minutes and 56 seconds. We'll give the judges a little time. Very hefty judging panel, as you can see, for a hefty topic. Okay, judges, you ready? Good. Up next, our second speaker for the opposition, Keishanice Edwards.
Moderator, when your house is leaking, you don't burn it down to fix the roof. Yet, that is exactly what this bill is suggesting. Moderator, honorable judges, my most worthy opponents, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I rise in unwavering opposition to the proposed bill to ban all imports in a first world nation currently in recession. As my capable colleague so eloquently explained, this bill would disrupt comparative advantage, provoke trade wars, create shortages and inflation, and cripple innovation. I will now advance our argument by showing that not only is this bill economically unsound, but there are far better ways to combat a recession. Ways that preserve trade, stimulate growth, and protect citizens' well-being. To do this, I will present 3 realistic solutions. 1. A targeted import substitution policy. 2. strategic monetary policy measures, and 3, investment in domestic entrepreneurship and innovation. Moderator, let us start with something practical. We in the opposition are not saying that a nation should forever depend on imports. No. We are saying that banning all imports is reckless, but targeted import substitution can be smart. What does this mean? It means selectively reducing reliance on certain imported goods by strengthening local production where the country already has potential. For instance, instead of banning every imported car, the government could incentivize domestic car part manufacturing, steel, batteries, tires, and gradually build capacity for assembly. That creates jobs without creating shortages. Renato P. Coleste, professor of economics at the University of Sao Paulo, in his 2010 paper, Visiting Import Substituting Industrialization in Brazil, states, quote, "A number of firms sought to improve products and processes and were competitive by international standards during the classic period of import substituting industrialization in Brazil," unquote. Moderator, we draw from this past example because it proves that ISI was not mere protectionism. It sparked real innovation and competitiveness that remain relevant for developing economies today. Moderator, total isolation is economic suicide, but strategic self-reliance, that's economic maturity. This approach allows a country to preserve its trade relationships while fostering domestic industries in a way that's gradual, data-driven, and sustainable. And if done correctly, local firms would not fear competition, they'd learn from it. After all, competition is not the enemy, complacency is. Moderator, our next proposal goes straight to the heart of what truly combats a recession: monetary policy. Instead of banning imports, a first world nation should empower its central bank to use interest rate adjustments, quantitative easing, and fiscal stimulus to inject liquidity into the economy. According to the Bank of England, quote, "When we reduce the rate of inflation, we raise interest rates. Higher interest rates mean borrowing costs more and saving gets a higher return. That leads to less spending in the economy, which brings down the rate of inflation," unquote. Moderator, banning imports to stimulate spending is like putting a bandage on a broken leg. It looks helpful until you try to walk. Monetary policy, on the other hand, addresses the real problem: insufficient demand and investment. By lowering interest rates, the government can encourage borrowing, business expansion, and consumer spending. By purchasing government securities, it can inject money directly into the financial system. And if you want proof that this works, just look at history. During the 2008 crisis, governments didn't shut borders or ban trade. They used monetary and fiscal tools to stimulate growth. It worked then, and it would work now. So, moderator, instead of saying no imports for anyone, perhaps the government should say, let's make money a little cheaper to borrow. Moderator, let's talk about something that every economist and every grandma with a small business understands. Productivity creates prosperity. If the goal is to increase output, employment, and income, then we must support domestic entrepreneurs, not isolate them from the world. By offering tax incentives, small business grants, and access to credit, the government can encourage innovation and create jobs from the ground up. According to the International Labour Organization, ILO, quote, "Across all countries, small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, do more than create employment. They are also engines of economic growth and social development," unquote. Entrepreneurs are the engine of every modern economy. They innovate, adapt, and compete globally. But to thrive, they need access to imported tools, technologies, and materials. Moderator, if you tell entrepreneurs they can no longer import machinery, software, or raw materials, you don't just hurt them, you chain them. According to the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, quote, "Innovation is critical to creating new sources of growth. Trade is one of the framework conditions that can strengthen innovation in the business sector," unquote. Instead of closing borders, the government should open opportunities, invest in training programs, improve ease of doing business, support research and development. That's how economies grow sustainably, not by retreating behind the walls of isolationism. Moderator, let's be honest. The bill before us is built on good intention, but terrible economics. Banning imports won't fix the recession, it will deepen it. It won't create jobs, it will destroy them. It won't empower citizens, it will impoverish them. The true path to recovery lies not in isolation, but in innovation. Through targeted import substitution, smart monetary policy, and investment in entrepreneurship, we can restore growth, confidence, and competitiveness, all without burning down the house to fix the roof. So, moderator, while the government may think this bill will keep dollars at home, what it will really do is keep progress out. And so, supported by the strength of our reasoning, the opposition formally rejects this bill. I thank you.
Keshanice spoke for a total of 6 minutes and 46 seconds. We will now begin a 5-minute preparation time for the two teams for the rebuttal. And during this time, audience, you are to be absolutely still. Five minutes begins now. And that is our time. We now call on the We now call on the first speaker for the opposition to rebut. He has a total time of 3 minutes. You want the finger or the bell at the 2-minute mark? Give you the bell. At the 2-minute mark, we will give him the bell. Please welcome first speaker for the opposition, Jamoy Hodge.
Moderator, honorable judges, and most worthy opponents, good morning again. After listening carefully to the proposition, I must confess, I am stunned, truly stunned, because what they have presented this morning is not an economic plan. It is an economic, wishful thinking wrapped in patriotic language. They spoke on an import substitution. Even the bill is based on banning all imports. It's not protection, it is isolation. The first speaker mentioned they would have temporary protection for a temporary period. The question is, how long would this temporary period be? If the country needs time to adapt to manufacturing their own products and necessities, by the time they've adapted, would have already faced permanent damages. This is perhaps the most dangerous illusion of this art. They call it protection. Economics call it suffocation. If you remove global competition, domestic firms will stop evolving. They stop innovating, stop raising their standards. They become comfortable, complacent, and slow. Exactly what a nation doesn't need, doesn't thrive. Shielding an industry doesn't make it stronger, it makes it softer. Let's be serious. A first world nations with advanced medical systems cannot just come out of the blue and produce everything domestically. We need the different people to help us. Moderator, I will finish here. I am truly stunned at what my proposition has told me. My colleague and I have told you facts, and they have came and told me what everyone can tell. We have literally came and told you facts. I thank you.
Jamoy's rebuttal was 2 minutes and 8 seconds. We'll give the judges a minute. Okay. Okay, we now invite the first speaker for the proposition in her rebuttal. Please welcome her, Timaya Brooks.
Moderator, what my opponents has said was absolute hogwash. A temporary import ban is not a rejection of trade. It is a stabilizing tool used at the right time for the right duration. It protects industries when they are most vulnerable. It preserves jobs and positions and the economy to recover stronger than before. Just think about it, Madam Moderator. My opponents may try to argue that by using strategic monetary policies, but I can tell you surely, that is not the way to go. Just think about the less fortunate people who would be buried in debt trying to pay off taxations. Moderator, that is simply inhumane. Also, exchange rate depreciation is too slow and unpredictable, which may cause a gap. With these reasons, Moderator, I truly believe that we should all say yes to the bill. I thank you.
Timaya spoke for a total of 1 minute and 20 seconds. So the judges will now retire. You have 7 minutes, judges, for many reasons, including that the Honorable Minister has to run off to the HOA. 7 minutes, please. Ms. Gomes, could you please escort them to the EDPM lab? So in 7 minutes, and we will have the timer on YouTube to time the event after all.
I know you would.
So in 7 minutes, we will have the judge's decision. In the meantime, if anyone has anything to say or to ask, you may do so, students or teachers. But our debaters have asked to be excused for a minute. Okay, so you can talk to me now since the judges are out of. What did you think of the debate? Did you understand anything? Did you learn anything in economics? Those of you who are not economics students, did any of it make any sense to you? Or was it all clear as mud? Yes? Anyone learned anything today? What's that? You all learned what a bill is? These things actually do go on in the House of Parliament, eh? English teachers, you have anything you'd like to say? Where are we going to, though? We still have to ask permission. It's the same rules. It's the same rules. How much time? Oh, the thing. Time the judges are true, you know. Okay. And you have been a most wonderful set of listeners, so give yourselves a round of applause for that. After the decision has been announced, those of you who brought chairs from the classroom, you are to take them back, of course. And those of you who are sitting in the other chairs, we ask you to fold them and neatly put them along here. But do not block the doorways, of course. You will soon have the judge's decision. They're coming? Okay, students, the judges are on their way back. Please, it's very close to break time, but do not leave until after the judge's decision has been announced. We have to always be on our best behavior, especially in times such as this. So when the judges leave, then you may stand and take your chairs back to the room, and the others will put them along the wall. Okay? And you are to applaud, of course, when the judge's decision has been announced. So remember that you are to stay in place until the judges have been escorted out. And the judges are back. Let us hear it for the judges. Will one of you present, or are you giving me the decision? Ms. Woodley, you're presenting. Oh, the judges have decided to give me the decision. No. Ms. Woodley, they say that you are presenting. And Mr. Vanderpool is leaving. Let us thank him, of course. And the budget debate is going on at the House of Assembly at the moment. Quite an interesting time for Anguilla. So I do encourage you to tune in. You should know what's happening in your country. Okay, Ms. Hodge and Ms. Gomes, could you please come? Ms. Hodge, Deputy Principal Curriculum, and Ms. Gomes, the Head of Department. Come, Ms. Woodley.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start by congratulating both teams on superb arguments, and let's give them a round of applause. Overall, we felt that in relation to economic theory, both teams would have presented well on the theories. However, we felt that some more supporting evidence could have been given by way of examples and statistics. I'm just going to get straight to the results. I'm just giving the overall total, right? So for the proposition, best speaker first? Okay.
Winning team last.
Best speaker, best rebuttal, and then overall. Okay. So best speaker, we have adjudged best speaker to be the second speaker of the opposition.
Come up here.
You can't see behind me. I was telling you guys to come up. The judging panel felt that both rebuttals needed some work. We felt that both teams refuted, I think, about one argument per the other side. And it was mentioned, but we felt that they could have done a better job in actually refuting what was said. It was mentioned, but we felt the refute did not occur. When we totaled everything, Best rebuttal in the end went to the opposition. And now for the overall. Okay. So our proposition had a total of 122 points. The proposition, 122. The opposition has a total of 171 points, making the opposition the winner of today's debate.
I thought I should make this comment because you see a big gap between the final score of the proposition and the final score of the opposition. And that really reflects the fact that taking the topic and looking at what the opposition is tasked with, opposition and what proposition is tasked with, proposition really had a much more difficult job because the underlying theory that they had to expound, right? The topic was saying that a country must close itself off from the world completely. In economics, we call that autarky, right? And the theory of comparative advantage says no country, especially in today's world, has the scope of resources within the country to be able to achieve efficient and optimal output, right? So they were being asked to defend a policy that quite a long time ago was no longer popular or even considered to be logical in terms of how economies have developed. So they had a huge labor to do, and they did their best, and we need to give them a round of applause. I would also say that, for me, one of the distinguishing features between proposition and opposition, and maybe because they had a more difficult side, one of the criteria which had to do with presentation style and all of that, they were able to do more, right? They were able to do eye contact, they were able to gesture and all of that. Because they had a more difficult task, I suspect that might be a factor. They tended to be more reading and not looking up, maybe look down and so on. So I just thought I should make that comment to kind of make you understand why there's such a huge gap. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, judges. Ms. Gomes will now escort you out. So students, please remain in place until the judges have been left. And thank you again, and I'm sure that this will be on the tables again for, you can hold those if you like. I'm sure that this will be on the tables again for next business week, so we look forward to seeing you again. Okay, so we're going to ask first, we're going to do this very orderly. We're going to ask first for those who brought the chairs from the classroom to leave quietly. Quietly is the key word. Thank you. Yes, you all shake hands. And the opposition is being taken for lunch by the proposition. They will be taken for lunch at Blanchard's. Okay, could you please, now the others, can you please fold the chairs and put them along here quietly as well?